All right. I think we're live. Wasn't very friendly. I'm doing this on just my laptop, so you'll have to bear with me. I am on the road. Audio might not be phenomenal, but I'm going to wait here a moment to make sure we're good to go. If you're in here and you want to leave me a message, if you see it good, you hear it good, and I will let you know what's going on. Looks like we're good here. All right. Yep, we got good people. Awesome, sweet. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Obviously, an unexpected live stream, kind of late. I am out here in Mountain Time, 6:34, so East Coast, it's 8:34. Apologize so late. But we got some breaking news that happened here a couple hours ago. ATF has decided to address the Antithesis firearm. It's the not an SBR, yet we still want it to be an SBR gun that was released by Franklin Armory. Because it was designed and intended to fire multiple styles of projectiles. It thus didn't fit the definition of rifle or short-barreled rifle. And a judge destroyed ATF in court over this. Cost Franklin Armory over $1 million in 8 years to get here. And within 2 days, 48 hours of it being released, ATF said, whoa. Call those back voluntarily. We're going to tell you what's really going on with this gun. So here we are. I'm going to share the screen with you. Hopefully it works well with the laptop here. And I'll put myself in the lower corner. So this came out today. It says ATF publishes open letter addressing circumstances, legal landscape regarding Franklin Armory's Antithesis firearms. And we'll go to the actual letter here. If I can get it to work. Stand by. Why is it paused? Let's try that again. This is great. I love this stuff. I gotta stop sharing that screen and share this one. Sorry, guys. I usually don't have my multiple screens here. So share this screen. Here we go. Okay. Work with me. I love it. How's everybody else doing while you're watching this thing melt down here? Work with me. Share. Ugh. There we go. Okay. Here we go. Let me, I'll read it to you because I know it might be small on your screen. It says let me make it bigger. How's that? Better. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives is committed to full transparency in the classification of firearms. This statement addresses the circumstances and legal landscape surrounding Franklin Armory's Antithesis firearms. In its original configuration as presented to ATF, the Franklin Armory I-15, which is what it was called, the Antithesis, was an AR-type rifle chambered to fire both 45 long Colt and .410 caliber shotgun shell ammunition. The weapon was submitted with a 14.5-inch barrel and a 33-inch overall length. In December 2021, ATF classified the weapon as a short-barreled rifle under the Gun Control Act and a firearm under the National Firearms Act. On February 18th of 2025, a federal district court vacated ATF's classification that the Antithesis was a short-barreled rifle. The court held that the Antithesis did not legally constitute a rifle because it was designed and intended to fire both single projectile 45 long Colt and multiple projectile .410 caliber shot shell ammunition. The term rifle means a weapon designed designed or redesigned and made or remade to use the energy of the explosive in a fixed cartridge to fire only a single projectile through a rifled bore for each single pull of the trigger. Now, the folks at Franklin Armory used this to their advantage, to the detriment of ATF. With new leadership in place on July 8th of 2025, ATF entered into a settlement agreement with Franklin Armory that accepted the district court's ruling and classified the Antithesis as a firearm under the Gun Control Act, but not a rifle under the Gun Control Act or a firearm under the National Firearms Act. The settlement agreement applied to the Antithesis in the caliber and configuration that had been submitted to ATF. So they're claiming it's only this version, even though the 5.56 version was designed and intended to fire a single 5.56 projectile as well as a multiple projectile round that Franklin Armory was making and made available and was offering. So it was the same thing, just because they didn't like it was a 5.56. On August 28, 2025, Franklin Armory submitted to ATF for classification a 5.56 AR type rifle under the Antithesis brand. This rifle had a barrel chambered for 5.56 NATO with standard rifling. The barrel was 7.5 inches long with a 1.19 twist. Thus, the rifle was the same as other standard AR type short-barreled rifles. Franklin Armory also submitted a sample of an exotic prototype 5.56 caliber sabot ammunition that housed multiple smaller projectiles in a casing. That ammunition could be used not only with the rifle Franklin Armory submitted on August 28th, but also with every other firearm chambered in 5.56 NATO. You see what they're saying? We can't okay the Antithesis because then every 5.56 with a barrel under 16 inches that can fire this round would not be an SBR2, and that would destroy the NFA. We can't do that. I'll continue. Pointing to the July 2025 settlement agreement, Franklin Armory asserted that because its new submission could shoot a multiple projectile load, it was not a rifle under the Gun Control Act or the National Firearms Act. Yeah, and they're right. ATF received Franklin Armory's submission and began the usual classification process by reviewing the firearm and associated documents sent by Franklin Armory. Let's go to page 2. Before ATF reached the classification, Franklin Armory proceeded to advertise online and sell an Antithesis branded rifle in at least 3 different models, all chambered in 5.56 NATO with standard rifling, varying in barrel length. The models featured respectively a 12-inch barrel, a 12.5-inch barrel, and a 7.5-inch barrel. Like the rifle Franklin Armory submitted to ATF for classification in August of 2025, all 3 Antithesis branded firearms are standard AR-type rifles, no different from other short-barreled AR-type rifles sold by other manufacturers. Unlike the original Antithesis chambered in 410 and 445 long Colt, the subject of the July settlement agreement, these weapons were not designed to shoot both single projectile ammunition and shotgun shells. The law doesn't say anything. The definition doesn't say anything about shotgun shells, but ATF's trying here. So that's another strike for them. Franklin Armory's contemporaneous submission of the exotic 5.56 millimeter ammunition that could be used in any 5.56 chambered rifle reflects at most the design of new ammunition. It says nothing about the design of the rifle that Franklin submitted in August, the sole relevant question under the statutory language. That rifle, again, features materially the same design as other standard AR-type rifles, except in one respect, its barrel length. I'm going to move this up so I can see it on my little tiny screen here. ATF's position has not traditionally been that the existence of an exotic multiple projectile load in a particular rifle caliber legally converts a statutory rifle into a non-rifle GCA firearm. Well, it doesn't matter what ATF's frickin' position is because you're unconstitutional, ATF. If that were true, the existence of such ammunition would render the concept of a statutory rifle a null set. That is not only a legal absurdity, but also, even if correct, could have unintended legal consequences for purchasers of AR-type rifles. See 18 U.S.C. 922b1, establishing 21 years as the minimum age to purchase a firearm other than a rifle and shotgun. As ATF's review has established, there is no material difference between Franklin Armory's August submission and other short-barreled AR-type rifles on the market, which are classified as short-barreled rifles. And while ATF recognizes that Congress and the public are debating whether federal law should subject short-barreled rifles to the National Firearms Act controls, there's no legal or factual basis to treat Franklin Armory's products differently from substantially similar AR-type rifles made by other manufacturers. Unfortunately, Franklin Armory falsely represented to customers that these weapons are not short-barreled rifles and that they could be transferred without complying with the National Firearms Act. In doing so, Franklin Armory was putting customers in legal jeopardy because they could be subject to prosecution by any future administration. Among the many objections raised against ATF in the past, one of the most serious is that ATF has a poor history with classifying firearms accurately, transparently, and consistently, depriving manufacturers, dealers, and consumers of the predictability that they deserve. ATF is committed to ensuring that all firearm manufacturers face a consistently applied and legally correct regulatory framework. Accordingly, ATF instructed Franklin Armory that it needed to retrieve the weapons it had previously sold. ATF also provided Franklin Armory with a reasonable path forward by properly registering the weapons under the National Firearms Act and transferring them according to the requirements of the Gun Control Act and the National Firearms Act. And that is all she wrote. So ATF's stance here is that the Antithesis, even though a judge said it's designed and intended to shoot multiple projectiles, not a single projectile, that it was not subject to the NFA, and it's not a short-barreled rifle. And the judge even said it's a square and you can't force it into a round hole. ATF now realizing, oh shit, the NFA just got destroyed because now any manufacturer can license the Antithesis and put out these types of guns. They were like, whoa, 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 no, this doesn't matter that this other round can shoot multiple projectiles, including a sabot slug. It wasn't designed to shoot shotgun shells. So I guess Franklin Armory, I know you're going to be watching this, maybe change that white plastic covering that you had for that multiple projectile round and turn it into a shotgun style case, and Bob's your uncle. That could be the easiest fix here. Guys and gals, thank you so much for your time. Let me know what you think about this. Were you going to buy an Antithesis? I know I was buying one. I was going to get the 7.5 inch. And I was going to have real fun with that. It was going to be my truck gun. The ATF is unconstitutional. The ATF is illegal. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say anything about the ATF. And our forefathers died to set up the Constitution and this country. We get our rights from our creator, not from the ATF. So with that, I wanted to thank you for your support. I will say that Salt Lake City is weird. Cool city, but weird. There's some weird things going on. There's a Comic-Con going on across the street, and there's a lot of weirdness out there right now. But I appreciate y'all. I really, really do. Thank you so much for all of your support over the years. I guess this is going to continue to go on. I'll reach out to Franklin Armory to see what they want to say publicly. But this is ATF basically saying, not only are we still banning these guns, this is a gun grab, because all those guns that were sold legally under what the judge said and the agreement, that the settlement agreement that ATF put out. Remember, I read it on the original video where the ATF themselves said this is not an SBR, it's not subject to the NFA. Well, because Franklin Armory used their brain, ATF is freaking out, and it's a gun grab, it's a gun ban, and it's unconstitutional. So we'll see what the next step is here. I will let you all know as soon as something comes out. Thank you all for the super chats. Real Caveman. I don't know if I can put it on the screen here on this one. There we go. New ammo loads would render the NFA and GCA designations retroactively void. That's why they're doing it, and I'm here for it. 100%. Franklin Armory used the letter of the law, each word in the law, and they made that gun designed and intended for a single purpose that didn't fall within any other silo in ATF's law, and they won. So now they just basically have to make a shotgun type shell that'll shoot a 5.56 sabot slug and some pellets behind it or whatever, and then we're back in the game. I think maybe. I mean, why not? DP Chief, thanks. Welcome to Salt Lake City. You're a fan X. So I think I don't know if that's what's going on across the street. I know there's something else going on too. There's a lot of stuff going on in the city, but I tell you, when I was walking around this morning, taking a walk, getting some fresh air, I didn't expect to see some people dressed up in their favorite whatever for Comic-Con. It was It was interesting. Caught me off guard. Guys and gals, I appreciate y'all so much. Really, really do. Let me know what you think about the ATF in the comments down below, especially if you're not watching during the live. Please share this with everybody, because there are a lot of people who bought these guns, and we're hoping to have them by now. So they're probably going to want to know exactly what's going on, and I need you to send it out too. So thank you for your time, guys and gals. Love y'all. God bless you. Stay safe. Take care.